So James, Chris, welcome back to Yorkshire. How's it feel to be on dry land?
It's not very dry.
No, it isn't. Sorry about that.
No, it's great. Yeah, to be back home, just with friends and family, and everyone's so excited to see us. It's overwhelming, really.
Yeah, it's a huge surprise, but it's exciting.
And great tans, by the way. You don't get those in Whitby or Scarborough, do you, or wet wintry Leeds today. So how long were you away on the sea, but also how long have you been away from home?
In total, 10 weeks we've been away from home, because we flew out of Leeds on the 1st of December to Lagomera. A race then started on the 12th of December after 12 days of preparations, going through checks, make sure you've got your equipment, and then
44 days.
44 days, 21 hours, 58 minutes at sea.
To be precise.
You look like able seamen with your beards and your weathered tans. Is the beards going to stay?
I think so.
Trimmed down a bit, as long as I can get away with it.
Do your partners like it? Is it?
Yeah, she's grown to it, so.
Yeah, it'll, like I say, just as long as we can get away with it, I think.
Yeah, until the tans go, I think. It's sun-kissed.
Yeah, it's part of it.
And are you still in a state of flux? How does it feel to be back? Is it a bit surreal?
It's strange to be back, yeah. We had 2 weeks off after the row to sort of just relax in the Caribbean, which is amazing. And then we came on Saturday, and it's just been full on since we've come back, and the pace of life is obviously a lot quicker. So it's just getting used to that. Even being in Leeds today, you see the pace of everyone walking around, and it's just buzzing, and we're just not used to it. It's a bit dizzying, really.
It's such an easy life at sea, as it says, because you just had, you just had an easy structure. When you sleep, you get up, you do your jobs, you row, and you just repeat that. And there's no distractions, and that ease of life as such. And then the pace has changed as soon as you get home. It's quite hard to adjust. I
suppose there is something quite beautiful about that freedom. Yeah. We get up to go to work, and we're battling traffic at the moment, and Storm Ciara, and we'll come on to weather in a minute. But you knew what you had to do, no distractions, and I suppose no people other than each other, and no horizon.
And you miss it. Yeah. You miss it. So it's just how easy life was out there. Obviously, we had its difficulties and things, but just the pace and the ease of it.
Well, you see other ships as well, don't you? You see freight ships, and you're like, there's people on there. You know what I mean? And you sort of want to talk to someone.
Other people.
Yeah. You're hoping for a cruise liner to go past and throw you some cake down or something. You just wanted some sort of interaction with someone, because we could contact people back home. We had sat phones, we could text, but it got a bit too much sometimes, didn't it? And you were like, it's too much of the real world we're hearing about, and it can be distracting. Yeah. And you wanted to just get on with the job in hand and make sure you were doing it well.
I'm not decrying what you've done, but when you watch I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here, the bit that breaks them is when they chat to the outside world, isn't it? Their family, their friends, etc. So is it, blinkers on, we've got a job to do. I don't want to know perhaps what's going on back home to some extent.
Yeah, I mean, I found it tough, especially over Christmas and New Year. Because when all your family's together and they're all, having a good time and celebrating and things, and then we're, still, it's just another day to us on the water. So I struggled a bit that day, but emotionally. Then the first time I rung home and spoke to my wife as well, that were all very emotional. But then as the row, as it progressed, that kind of got a little bit easier. I suppose you just get used to being away from home. So as it got on, that all got a little bit easier, really.
Let's start at the very beginning then. Why did you do it?
It's a tough question to answer, isn't it? That, and it's the one you get asked a lot. It's there's a lot involved. There's the challenge itself, a personal achievement. It's also a good reason to raise money for charity, and it's just.
And to inspire people.
Inspire people were our main thing.
Because the majority of people that do this challenge, they've done other expeditions, or they've come from, backgrounds, military backgrounds, and they're a bit tougher than your average person. Whereas we just are average guys, and wanting to inspire people that if you give it your time and 100% effort, then you can achieve it.
Oh, and why this one then? Because rowing the Atlantic is it's not news to the people watching today from Yorkshire around the world. Yeah. You could have climbed Everest, you could have gone on your own. Why this one?
This one to us was a big one, and we James had seen it in the past, and something he'd always stuck in his mind. But we thought about Everest, we talked about things like that since and beforehand, but this is the hardest. Yeah, this is the hardest one to do. Yeah, exactly. But we like you get feedback from the ex-military guys on the same row that we did, and they've done Everest, they've done the North Pole, they've done the South Pole, and this is by far the hardest thing they've done. Yeah. So we know that, well, we know people that have done those things, and this is the hardest thing they've done, and we've achieved it. So we don't have to do them now. Top trumps.
Yeah. So rewind to the first day. You set off and probably full of adrenaline and euphoria. Night one, first 5 days, any regrets, fears? What the hell have we done? Can we turn round?
No idea. Couldn't tell you what happened in those first 5 days.
It was so funny because I would say the weather plays a massive part in the whole thing, and there's a company called Vestas that cover the weather as you're going across, and they give you updates on what's going to happen. And they were basically telling us it's going to be a fast start. There were some big winds and everything, so everyone were really fired up for it, weren't they? And
some people were apprehensive. We were a bit, well, we don't know what those speeds are like, so we'll just go and do it.
and it was
45 knots.
It were gusts of, wasn't it? Yeah, and it were a fast start, and it were off. And
you can still see the other boats, so you're like, there's a team over there, we can catch them. And
I say we were just in the zone really for the first few days of it. We got into his routine. Then as them few days started to settle down and the weather settled down a little bit, we changed the routine up, didn't we? Went for through the day. We did shorter, just 1 hour shifts rather than the standard 2 hour that people do. Mainly just so we weren't in the sun for as long. And it's just sort of keep that power on a little bit more as well. But for me, they were the hardest days, because that's when, as I was saying, you start getting a little bit homesick and missing people and things like that. That was for me personally anyway. I don't know how it felt for you. But it's strange, 'cause it's just a massive blur at the minute, the whole thing, isn't it?
And you start realising in those first few days how long 24 hours is. Yeah. And you're 3 days in and going, I'm ready for home, because it's all new and you've put all your power in for the first part. And then you're just thinking, we've got another 6 weeks, 7 weeks potentially at this, and we're feeling it now. But it's a routine. You get stuck into.
What's the bigger challenge, the physical impact or the mental impact?
Mental, massively, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
without a doubt. It's just simply that.
And bear in mind, you're 2 young men. You've got family. You've got children. Well, certainly one of you has. I've got to ask you, come on, how's that? I mean, I'm a father of 2, married, you're away from your newborn child.
Yeah, it's a difficult one to admit, really, that I'm going to say I didn't miss her.
Yeah, I get it. Because
I was so excited to see her again at the end. The tears are coming, don't worry. So, yeah, she was born after we decided to do this. She was planned sort of in the middle of it. Yeah. So I'd already prepared myself for a year or two that I was going to have this child that I'd be leaving for 7 weeks. But it was tough at times, and I rang up home quite a bit to just so she could hear my voice and not forget who I was. She was showing pictures and videos every day because she's still young. Yeah. She was obviously going to potentially forget the short term of me being away.
And what a great document for her as she grows up in later life. And I suppose you can't give up then, can you? You've just spoken to your daughter. You can't give up.
No.
You can't turn back. At some point you've got to go halfway to go, it's nearer that way.
There were never any point when we thought we weren't going to do it.
There was no way, was there?
No, we planned for 2 years. We were organised, possibly one of the most organised teams there for the amount of time we'd spent to get ready for the challenge. So like I say, it sounds harsh, but you could compartmentalise some of that and be prepared for it. And obviously, I did miss her to a certain extent, but I dealt with that. And missing the partners were probably the hardest point. My girlfriend, or now fiance, I wasn't expecting that sort of emotion. Because I thought it'd be all about my daughter. Yeah. So you were days when obviously you were speaking to him and you're just thinking, well, you've got a really tough job because you're on your own at home with our baby for 7 weeks, and that's a lot tougher job than we've got to do. Yeah.
And James, we're in the middle of a storm at the moment in Yorkshire, and we're not going to belittle it. It's been really difficult for a lot of families and businesses throughout the region. But what was the worst weather you suffered in a boat. You know, your mortality's got to come into question. Did you ever fear death at any point?
No, it never. We were lucky with the weather, really. I mean, we had windy days, we had really flat, calm days, really hot days. Not such wet days because the rain kind of comes. It comes over you. You know, you get really short downbursts of rain. But probably the worst I'd say were them swells that we had, yeah? The huge, I mean, how big were they? They were only forecast to be about, 5 metres? Yeah, they were definitely bigger than 5 metres.
Spun the boat twice in one night.
And that were at night as well.
Yeah, you got lights on your boat then at night?
There's a nav light, which all boats have.
So other boats can see you, but it doesn't give you any...
It doesn't really give us any lights. And the moon, and with the moon cycle as well, you get 3 or 4 nights when you just get totally no moon. Or it comes up an hour later each night, so when the sun goes down, it's literally pitch black. I mean, don't get me wrong, when it's a clear sky and the stars are out, it's absolutely amazing. But when you've got no moon and it's overcast and it is pitch black and you can't see what's coming towards you or anything like that, that's quite daunting.
It is, because you can hear some waves, but you can't see anything, so you can't get ready to judge what strokes you're putting in.
Yeah, and especially when, let's say we had them big swells and then they weren't going down at all and the sun started dropping, I think we've got to deal with these all night. And that way, you kind of just let the boat work. And you just work with the boat then. That was probably the
I imagine
most
anyone
toughest.
watching or listening will think you're belittling your achievement. It is astonishing what you've done, but I imagine if you're in that sort of tunnel vision, you've got to keep going. But who did you bump into then? Sharks, whales? I saw on your Twitter feed, you know.
First what we had were dolphins. I think we got about maybe 2 or 3 pods of dolphins, and they came at the right time, didn't they?
Christmas, wasn't it? We were ringing back saying we hadn't seen any wildlife, which may sound strange, but you see nothing but sea and the sky and him, and that's it. So you just want to see something and have this experience, and it was Boxing Day, wasn't it?
Yeah, and I was saying earlier we were missing people over Christmas time, and we were a little bit down, and then just as the sun was setting, and we just saw these dolphins just shoot underneath the boat, didn't we? We both just saw them together.
So inquisitive, they want to know what's going on.
Yeah, and that just really lifted the spirits up. A few nights later, you woke me up saying that you feel like you were being watched.
Yeah, and there were 2 orcas watching us. So we never
What's an orca?
So a killer whale.
Oh, right, I should know that.
Yeah, so they... we couldn't see them. You knew they were there. You could hear them breathing. Oh, so you just hear this.
Just hear the breath.
Yeah. So that was a bit. Well, I was banging on your door, going, "Just come out and make me believe that there's something there." Yeah. And
it was strange with that.
It was strange
because you can't see anything. You can just hear it. It's quite terrifying. And these can be absolutely huge. These things.
Yeah, the biggest thing, and the king of the sea, killer whales. Sharks are scared of them, so you've got to be wary of them.
And then there were a shark.
There were a shark, yeah. The boat was attacked for about 25 minutes by a shark. I think in the past people have had sharks follow them even for 2 or 3 days. But I was asleep in the stern and there was just a massive whack right next to my head. So because in the stern you're actually slightly under the water level. So just bang, bang, bang. You're like, that's not a wave. Open the door, he just went, that's not a wave.
Yeah, what is going on?
And the boat's moving. And James were totally just laughing because I was just excited and freaking out about this something behind the boat, and you want to look, but you don't want to look at the same time. So you got the head torches out and you just saw it. It was about 2.5 meters, 3 meters. Don't know what type of shark it was yet. And it was just coming down. It was definitely a shark. Coming down the side of the boat, coming back, just nudging, ramming the boat, whether we were in his patch or he just wanted rid of us. Or...
Speaking of being in each other's patch, how did you two get on?
Really well.
Yeah.
Okay, no arguments, no disagreements, no falling out, no squaring up.
There were
no squaring up.
you have your disagreements and your little moments, but there were no big fallouts or anything like that. If we did disagree on something, we talked about it and moved on. We said that from the start. If there's something that's on your mind, don't dwell on it. We'll just stop for 5 minutes, have a chat, get it over and done with, and it just worked good, didn't it?
Yeah, it worked really well for us, that.
It worked really well. I mean, we had our own, because there's 2 cabins in the boat, so we had our own cabin, so you had your own space as well. So, you know, you could just go in there, have 5 minutes to yourself, have a little word with yourself, and...
Pot noodle.
Yeah. Wish I had a pot noodle.
What did you eat? What do you take with you?
It wasn't far off, it was dehydrated food. And to be fair to them, they're nice. Do you know what I mean? If you were sat here eating one now, you'd be fine eating it.
Just on a couple of day expedition, they'd be all right. But when you're eating, because we had 9 different meals.
On rotation.
We kind of had a little plan for them to rotate them, and then, but yeah, even after 2 or 3 weeks, they just start getting a little bit.
Yeah.
And we ate them all cold water as well, because you're meant to boil water, put water in, leave it for 20 minutes, and it's good to eat. But we decided. Just not to waste time boiling water. It's also safety as well. A lot of people burn themselves boiling water. So we thought, just put cold water in just before you shift, leave it for an hour, then eat it. And let's say at the start of it, they were all right, but then...
And what was the first meal you ate when you landed?
Burger and chips.
Burger and chips.
Yeah, they provide you with a meal, don't they?
So 7 a.m, burger, chips and rum punch.
Which we thought were fruit juice, so we started going, fruit, brilliant, and then it was full of rum. But we weren't complaining.
And what about the first meal you've eaten since you got back to Yorkshire? What have you eaten, what have you drunk?
Oh, just rubbish. Absolute rubbish. What was my first meal?
Fish and chips? Sunday dinner?
Oh, we've got fish and chips to have
Pint of
because
bitter?
we've got some free fish and chips coming out there.
Oh.
Yeah, Towngate Fisheries in Idle, yeah, they're going to provide us with some fish and chips.
They're one of our partners.
I'm trying to think what I ate. I can't remember where I went.
Well, what did we do when we got off the flight? We went to the pub.
Doesn't matter. Right, quickly then. Highlight from both of you and a low point. Start with the low points and finish with the high points. So, lowest point on the journey.
Tough question.
The lowest point is a tough question because you don't want to dwell on them and you put them to one side. We said, you bring any good back with you and you leave all the bad out there.
So for me, as I've mentioned before, it were over Christmas period. Yeah. That were just tough, just missing out. Because I have a big family and it's, you know, there's a big gathering over Christmas, and not that I was gutted that I was missing out on it. Yeah. I was missing it, you know. Just.
There's not much to do out there, so you think about everything that's going on where you're not.
Yeah.
And I think.
How bored are you? You know, it's same thing. As you say, 24-hour day is a long day.
You have to find things to just occupy yourself, whether like you didn't do. I listened to podcasts and just wrote things or thought of potential ideas for stuff in the future, designed...
Spoke a lot about work and things, didn't we?
And what we wanted to do in going forward, just designing extensions for my house and things like just anything to
Monday
keep
stuff.
Yeah.
Well, we'll come on to what's next, but finally, high point. High point for both of you.
It's got to be the first time we saw that night sky.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. Because it'd been... Again, we don't really know, but it's about 2 days in, was it? We were trying to figure it out. 2 or 3 days in. Yeah. And we'd have the moon up. It had been a full moon since we started, and the moon came across with us. So every night it was bright, so you never saw the stars. And then this first night, the moon, as usual, took a while to come out. And, well, you were in it first, weren't you? And he just woke me up and said, Chris, come out and look at this. And I just opened the door, and because of the way I was slept, I was looking straight up at it. So I just opened it and I was like, I wasn't expecting this. And he just went, I'll leave you with it. And then I just did my shift, but it was like, unbelievable.
What are you adjusting now then? So you've seen this once in a lifetime sky, nothing around you, no light noise, no disturbance. How are you adjusting to life back at home?
It's fast. Yeah, it is. Everything seems very fast, and it's hard to concentrate on things at times. Just the simplest of tasks you struggle with. I mean, I'm still struggling with my hands. So even just to do the simplest things, like I say, even physically and mentally, it's just it's challenging, yeah.
What next? You've probably already thought about it when you've got days in the sun rowing. What's next?
Well, yeah, I've said it. I want to start a family and things before. I think that's a big enough challenge, isn't it? Before I go into anything. Yeah, I mean, you've always said you want to do poles, haven't you?
Yeah. An exclusive. Yeah. No, I want again another baby and just family stuff. We got engaged in Antigua after the row, so wedding to organise. Thank you. And it was, yeah, I've always wanted to do stuff like the London Marathon, which people might think that's not a lot compared to this, but as a kid I've always wanted to do that, and I've still never managed to get a place.
Yeah.
So simple things
there
like
you
that.
go. Look at the camera and I'm sure someone will
Give me a
will want to
ticket,
sponsor you.
I'll do it.
And then let's finish on the charity. So tell us about the charity that you're raising money for and how people can...
Well, we've got 3 charities altogether. So the charity I chose was the Bradford Hospitals charity. So all the money pledged goes out into the neonatal unit at the BRI. Chose that one because my nephew 3 years ago, he was born premature. Yep. So he spent a good few amount of weeks there in recovery, and they saved his life ultimately. So I wanted to give something back to them. Not only my nephew, my cousins 20 years ago, they were also born premature in the same unit. So there's a couple of reasons for that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, the second one's Centrepoint, which is a national charity.
They
do the sleep out, yeah. But they've pledged that all the money we raise goes back to Bradford as well. So it goes into Yorkshire. And at 17, I was homeless for a short amount of time. And due to sort of help from friends and family, a bit of sofa surfing, managed to sort things out. And some people aren't that lucky. So that's what Centrepoint do. They help people out with that. So that was, as James, is a very personal one for me. And the third one is Ben.
Yes. Which is an automotive charity.
So we've both got links with the automotive industry. So they just look after anybody that works there, or their families, their friends. Just if they're in mental health problems or money issues or just any struggles they're having at home, Ben are there to support them. So the 3 charities. So all the money we raise will be split 3 ways, equally against them all.
Yeah, and we've kept that separate as well. So obviously the corporate side of it, where we've been speaking to businesses who've supported us through our campaign as well, the charity money stays completely separate. We don't use any of that money for anything we've done. It goes directly to those charities.
Okay, well listen, it's been great to have you both in. You are missing something on your top, so let's see if we can sort that out. We've got a couple of little Y badges for you.
Excellent.
So there you go, Chris.
There we are, we're in the club.
And there you go, James, you are in the club.
Thank you.
So yeah, you've again put Yorkshire on the map. We're absolutely bursting with pride for you. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Have you.
Cheers, thank you.
Well done. Top man.
Thank you.
Thank you.